Hey everyone, welcome and thanks for tuning into LCC Remix, where we unpack the latest message in a deeper way. We hope this episode encourages and speaks to you.
Welcome back to another episode of LCC Remix, where we are so glad you are joining us as we kick off our new sermon series, The Way in a Manger, for Christmas 2025. Who's excited for Christmas? I'm looking at Greg right now because I know he really loves everything
Jesus.
About Christmas.
I love Jesus.
Yes. Greg
Not
is
a
a
Scrooge.
huge fan of...
Not a Scrooge.
You're not a Scrooge. No. But we're taking a look at the first Advent, first coming of the Lord, the story of his birth as recorded in the Gospels. I guess to kind of start things off, we understand that Jesus wasn't born on December 25th, right?
Really?
Well, I mean, there's churches that teach that he was. I mean, on a calendar, like they will show you all kinds of reasons why he was born on the 25th.
Well, the first question is, did the month of December exist then
It didn't.
by that name? So it couldn't have.
It's also interesting. December is the 10th month,
Right? Right?
but it's the 12th month. So wrap your head around that.
Yeah.
And why don't we just have 13 months with 28 days? It'd be 364 days.
It could be. Yeah. I don't know.
You ever thought about that?
Didn't it go from the 10th month because of the two Caesars, Julius and Augustus?
Yeah, they were fighting over the calendar.
and they got to each have a month.
July and August.
Yeah, so October should be the 8th month.
The 8th
Right.
month, yeah.
And September the 9th, yeah. Or November the 9th,
9th,
September the
September
7th, yeah.
It's very
odd.
strange. It's very strange. Our calendar is very strange, not only from that standpoint, but then you look at the days of the week, and you've got like Wednesday, Thursday. Like Wednesday is Odin's day, and Thursday's Thor's day. Friday is for Freya. These are all Norse gods and goddesses. So it's like we have a very weird calendar. So from a biblical standpoint, we're not exactly sure. There is indications historically because the shepherds were keeping watch over their flocks at night. It was the time of year when lambs were born, and so some people speculate
In spring.
springtime.
Yeah.
Others look at the Jewish festivals and they think, okay, was this the time during the Feast of Tabernacles, or there's all different reasons why that's happening. Aaron, take over.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons.
A lot of reasons for that.
Yeah, but actually, I was just watching something this morning that we're talking about how, like, there is a bunch of these theories of what month it was, but nobody really knows. Like, there's not really anybody to give hard evidence of any specific.
So it's interesting. Even celebrating birthdays is a relatively recent thing. You always celebrated the death of the person. And so that was...
That sounded weird how that was phrased.
Well, no,
Yes.
you commemorate.
They're finally gone.
You commemorate.
Yes,
Because,
I
with nobody had a birth certificate. Nobody had whatever, as far as knowing, So that wasn't... And even, it's interesting, we make much of Christmas. Jesus never talked about his birth. He talked about his death. And to commemorate that, do this in remembrance of me, with the communion thing and all that. So, and that was a thing for, all the leaders, the rulers of the time. It was the death that, not to celebrate, commemorate. The death was important,
Right.
And so the whole, the birthday thing is a relatively new thing. So, anyway. There you go.
Right, and there's all kind of reasons we could dive into. We won't get too deep on it of why that became. I mean, there's cultural blending of various religious and cultural beliefs, and as the church was advancing, how do we teach about the coming of the Lord and kind of integrate that with some of the festivals and things that were going on. I mean, there's all kinds of theories about that we read about, and
a lot of cross pollination of ideas and traditions and things like that. But if you don't let it get all watered down, and you take it for the celebration of his birth, because ultimately what he did for us, but you can still enjoy the family traditional things and still be able to celebrate and enjoy that aspect of it, while also focusing on the other. It doesn't have to be one or the other, and it doesn't have to be completely all merged. I think it's kind of important actually to keep it kind of separate, but understand that you get the revelry because of that. That's why it's this time of year kind of thing. But to be able to keep them kind of together but still separate, if that makes sense. I don't know.
And really, it's a holiday. It's a holy day, is what it is, and so it does. Those things are important because it makes you pause and reflect and think about things. It set aside a special time, and just unfortunately, all the commerce and stuff that has been built into the system is makes it hard on people, and the stresses and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But certainly, any excuse to get your family together.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
And
make those once a year recipes and
just imagine if there were no holidays. What we call holidays. How often would things happen with families and different? You would have to, So there's a good side to that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, there are definitely positives there.
Yeah.
You think about Luke chapter 2. The angels announced, "For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord." And that's like the only reference that when I say the only reference, that's like an angelic announcement of like, hey, you need to pay attention to what's just occurred. And I guess the concept, which I started speaking about on Sunday, was, heaven invaded earth at that moment. The Son of God stepped into, our world, and he came in the most vulnerable of ways, which is a profound mystery. And the point being, God's plan is greater than our understanding. None of that story to a human mind, it doesn't make sense. Like, if you were God going to send your son, I mean, we have the benefit of studying the scriptures and the Holy Spirit, like helping us to understand why it was that way. But just on the surface, does it make a whole lot of sense? I don't know that he would come in that way.
No.
Well, you have to. If you're expecting a great leader, you wouldn't think it was that way.
Right.
But you're looking at a God of love, and immediately you recognize, born in a stable.
Yeah.
Born in poverty and born in how better could someone connect with common people? Not born in a palace. Immediately you're separated from most people, and so there is a lot to be said about that. Where there's that accessibility.
Yeah.
And just the way, he was born in, I don't know how close it was or whatever, but you could almost see the palace from where, from the stable, but, it's just, and the whole story of, appearing to the shepherds who were a lower caste of people.
Yeah.
Didn't go to, the angels didn't show up in the palace once again to tell the officials.
Yeah.
It was the almost like the unwanteds, or the ones out in the field who had the lousy job. The angel showed up to them, and they're the ones who came into town and like, oh my gosh, we're looking for the child, excited, So there's so many aspects to the story that are just really down to earth, I guess you can say. Just reaches people where they are.
You would almost, I would think, the Jews at the time would almost kind of expect that. If you think about all of the stories from the Old Testament, that's always who God used.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't use people or take people from situations where they could have at any point said it was them.
Yeah.
It was always it has to be him or it's not going to work. So from that aspect, that part of it completely makes sense. In poverty with nothing, being fully reliant on God kind of aspect of it. So, I mean, I think it keeps in theme with with all of the stories that they would have grown up knowing,
Yeah.
So how did Joseph initially react when he found out Mary for pregnancy? And why did he do what he did? What are some thoughts on that?
Well, his initial reaction was what probably anybody would have done. Yeah. Literally anybody. Oh, okay. I guess this is done. This is over.
What have you done?
We did a skit years ago. I hope this doesn't offend anyone.
Oh, here we go.
But we did like a mock Jerry Springer.
Oh my!
Wow.
See?
In church?
Yes.
In church. Jerry.
And about, his,
Who is
who's
the
real
father?
baby dad.
Well, that's Mari Povich. Yeah. You
Oh, my
are
goodness.
not the father.
Yeah. But it ended up, and after that we did the song "Mary Did You Know." I tied it together.
How about Joseph? Did you know?
But it was actually kind of cool. It really drove a point home. But yeah, so but yeah, how would you feel if your fiance got pregnant and you didn't do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how he felt.
Well, I like that's how you kind of dug into betrothed on Sunday, and it's so much deeper than our engaged.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Per se, there's so much more to the process.
Sure.
Because
people today will be like, even if someone's engaged, they'll be like, well, I'm still, because people will try to break up an engagement. They'll see someone they like engaged ain't married. That's what they'll say. Like, it's not married. I mean, have you heard that?
I don't see a ring.
Yeah, I don't see a ring. They're not married yet. It's like, whoa. But you're right. The depth of the Jewish betrothals. So
Well,
much
you were
more.
legally bound to the person.
Yes. That's why he had to, if they were going to separate, he had to divorce her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like, oh, the engagement's off.
Yeah.
He'd already paid a price for her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's. Well, I mean, saying that he reacted the way that probably anybody would shows why, intervention, like angelic intervention, was required.
Yeah.
Because that's what it would have taken.
Well, yeah, that's how you wouldn't believe anything else.
Right. I was thinking when he said, "For that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit," that hit me different this week because I feel like we take for granted talk of the Holy Spirit because we have the New Testament. And I was trying to dig into what is that saying to Joseph, who the Spirit in the Old Testament, the Spirit came upon Samson, or the Spirit came into David and was with him. And, there's these different things. How would that have hit with Joseph, within the context of, what we had up until that point? Because I've always read that through and like, the Holy Spirit. But we have all the we have all the books after that really digs into, and Christ talks about it constantly. But he didn't have that. So how did that? I mean, number one, it's already coming from an angel, so he's already, the validity's already there. But what do you think he took that to be?
I'm sure he knew the scripture about the virgin, and so they were all, that was the hope of every Jewish girl was to be the virgin that carried the Messiah, So that was something they all knew and understood. And you just never think it's going to happen to you. Oh, that's my wife. Oh, okay. So yeah, I don't know.
No, it's a great question to ask. I mean, because you're right. You look through the Old Testament examples of how the Spirit moved upon, and the beautiful thing about the New Testament is, Jesus, it says the Spirit will be in you. He'll be with you. And it's this always thing. It's not this, like in the case of Samson or
Yeah.
some of the judges, who, even Moses, or Miriam, the the Spirit would come upon, they would prophesy, same with the prophets, So with that context of knowing, the law, the Torah and the Tanakh and all that, definitely probably hit a little different. Like, okay, this angel's telling me God is moving upon her in a way that I don't understand. But then the other side of that was, and she will bring forth a son, and you will call him Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins, which I love. I love that phrase.
Yeah.
It wasn't your people. It wasn't, our people. It was his people, which speaks of what Christ did through Jew and Gentile, I believe.
Yeah.
So there's a little more going on there. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something to ponder. How would he have, understood that in that moment? I think, Greg, you bring up a good point too about Isaiah 7. The virgin shall, conceive. And there's, if you're listening, you may hear or you may see on YouTube, you'll see these videos, especially this time of year, where people are being critical of that phrase, the virgin shall conceive, and they're trying to say, well, no, it really just means a young group, maiden, but the way that you and that word can be translated that way. It absolutely can. It can be translated as a virgin. You mean it translated as a young maiden. But here's the thing: if you put it within the context, that's why context is important. And this shall be a sign unto you. Okay.
That a girl got pregnant.
Right, a girl got pregnant. How is that a sign?
Wow. That's never happened.
The sign is the other side of the meaning of that. A virgin will be pregnant.
Right.
That's the sign.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's
I've
like
had
it
that
doesn't-
argument with somebody
right,
before.
and it doesn't hold water.
No, that's just trying to get out of something you can't get out of.
But it's a strange way of thinking.
Yeah.
But anyway, what about Joseph's obedience? What does his obedience teach us about trusting God? Because what did he do? I mean, when he woke up from the dream,
He believed.
yeah,
Right.
I tell you, you brought up Sunday, and I think you nailed it with. Certainly, we don't worship Mary and Joseph, but they were some quality people.
Oh man,
Yeah.
yeah,
And just imagine and we don't, So there was Jesus had 4 brothers, and we know sisters, so
Yeah,
at
we
least
don't know.
2.
At least 2, yeah.
So there's a timeline there where Joseph was around. But then we find later when Jesus starts his ministry, he's gone. He had passed away.
Yeah.
So at what point, we don't know, of course. Was it 10, 15 years after Jesus was born? Do math or whatever. But his whole purpose was to, one, take care of Jesus and Mary because they had to flee. I love that when the wise men brought, the gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
All 3 of them.
Yeah, all 3 of them.
All 3 wise
All
men.
3 wise men.
Yeah, we don't know how many.
Yeah.
Right?
It was an entourage of people. You don't travel with gold without armed people with you.
It wasn't 3 dudes on camels.
Yeah. And but that financed their trip to Egypt, And so, but Joseph was kind of like, the guy that he was their protector and provider, and boy, what a responsibility,
Yeah.
And and we, like I said, we don't know how long he was around. We do know, at least 10, 15 years. But it's just what a caliber guy, though. I mean, a high caliber person that
Yeah.
and that was his purpose.
There's still studies, new studies talking about how much of a child's the way that they learn and grow and understand and their personality, all these things happen in the first handful of years of life.
Yeah.
And they're still finding, things that if that's not good, how much work it is to fix it afterwards.
Yeah.
And you think, so thinking about it from that aspect as being the earthly parents,
Yeah.
I mean, they look at the man he was, man and God, but still he grew up in exactly the place that he needed to be to become the human aspect part of it of who he was, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we should. What's the word?
Revere.
I was going to say venerate, but yeah, just we should have
Worship.
respect for, and gratitude for, but not, there's a difference between
honor.
that and praising, right? So
We should honor. Absolutely. Yeah.
I wonder when that moment when he was 12 and stayed behind, and they found him in the temple. You wonder. Of course, Mary takes the kind of the scene or whatever, but Joseph was there,
right.
and you wonder, like, oh, yeah, is my job done?
Right.
He's figured it out. Not figured it out, but what was that? He knows that he had to be in his father's house, and that wasn't Joseph. And so, but even still, then you don't have this. He knew Joseph. I think probably knew his role, and wasn't offended. What do you mean your father's house is? Yeah. So just all those human things that go through your mind, and it'd be interesting. Someday we'll get to talk to Joseph, find out.
Right.
Get the whole
Yeah,
story. the
curious
inside
too, because he had to have been at least a little bit longer for him to learn trades, right?
Yeah.
So-
yeah.
And there's, I mean, it's implied in the text that when the family is showing up at different times, that they're him being the eldest would have had a responsibility to the family. And not that he was shirking his responsibility, but to kind of take that patriarchal role for the family in terms of those things. And we know Jesus worked at the trade. We know, again, you can read in the context of everything, he did those things, but you wonder too if Joseph almost had to be, I don't want to say had to be removed, but God,
I think he did.
yeah, I think so too, because it was now this reliance of he is no longer here. So when Jesus is talking about his father, there's no confusion, even though they try to slam him. I mean, they basically call him, an illegitimate child. In the Gospel of John,
Small town, no TV. Everybody knew.
Everybody knew.
Seriously.
And it's wild too, because like even in the town of Nazareth, like even the geography of it today, like when Jesus goes there, it says a prophet was without honor in his hometown, and he did not perform many miracles there. And I mean, that's the one place where they rushed him, and there's this massive incline. And when I say there's a cliff, man, it is like when you get to that precipice and you look over the other side, there's a whole valley below, and you can feel the wind rushing across and coming up the precipice. And this is where they were going to throw him off, and he just like walks through the crowd.
Walks through.
I still can't understand that.
Yeah.
They take him up there, and but that's neither here nor there. But you just think about that, the animosity that was in that town by certain people who just like, we're not believing this at all.
Yeah.
I wonder how much, and this is really a side note too. When after we know that in the Herod, after Jesus was born, and he was whenever they shipped out, so that we would think the wise men showed up when he was a small child.
Around first couple years.
Couple years.
2
Yeah.
years.
So, after they left, an angel warned them to go, to Joseph to take them, flee, and so, but Herod went in and killed all the kids under 2 and under. You wonder too if that had something to do with, maybe understanding, the hurt and animosity that people had, because that leaves people devastated. Somebody come in and just rip your kid out of your arms and kill it in front of you. And I've heard, I don't know, I've heard scholars talk about that. As far as numbers go, it may have been a dozen or two because it wasn't a big town.
Yeah.
So whatever
Hello.
constellation that is.
It's all good. Just hold it.
The microphone just fell off the
It
end.
just shot off. I don't think I was doing anything different.
No. But anyway.
Sorry, that was the guy who set it up.
That was awesome. The mic just launched off in spring. We caught it.
These old tabletops will be good. Anyway.
What do I do?
Derail. That was great.
Back to you, Steve.
I'm a little distracted at the moment. Yeah.
It's a good catch, though.
So, one of the things I tried to bring out on Sunday was, Joseph, before all these events happened, he probably had he felt like he had a pretty good understanding how his life was going to go. He's betrothed, going to get married. He's getting things ready for his family, all of those things. And then his expectations are completely changed by what on the surface at first would seem like this devastating news. And yet God was in it. And how, he had a choice to make. Do I walk in obedience to what God is saying, or do I run away from that? And how different his story would have been had he chosen otherwise. So how do we, the point being, how do we respond when God, disrupts, our lives? I call them, they're holy interruptions. I mean, we should want those things, right? I mean,
I don't know if it's an interruption. I think it's a correction.
It's a correction. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Because if I go my way, things probably won't work out all that great.
That's a good way of saying it.
But yeah, if we do it His way, we should welcome, and go, thank you, Lord, for getting me back on track.
Yeah.
You want to hear God's voice and His leading, and I think it's more of a correction.
I think you made a really good point with the what now, because I think it can be a fine line of saying, you have your expectations and something changes, right? It can be a very fine line of walking to say, oh, well, this is just God's will, and just kind of, I don't want to say necessarily be lazy, but be complacent and just not feel like it's anything that is supposed to prompt you to change or do something. It's just, this is what happened to me, this is my lot, versus this is what happened, now what? So I think when you said the question, not like, oh, whatever, it's what now? What now? Yeah. So something changed, what now? What is, you're putting something before me. Now what am I supposed to do with it? Not just, okay, you changed my circumstances and that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's a key thing. I mean, we can get lost in the whys and why. I mean, that's a lot of, I think, pastoring is people come to you with questions. They're going through difficult things and like, why? Mm-hmm. Why? You're not going to get that. The what now is so important.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But it's hard. It's hard to do.
Yeah,
it's important.
It is. And I mean, especially with like you talked about, the tragedies that are going to happen in life. I think it was, I don't remember who he was talking to, but I think it was John Lennox that somebody was asking him about the question of the pain and the hurt and all these things that God allows. Mm-hmm. And he said something to the effect of, I don't understand it. I won't say that I understand why, but I do know that a key thing to remember is that our God understands it because He put Himself onto earth to go through those things. So I can't tell you why things happen, but I can tell you that he understands and empathizes and has been through. And God doesn't have to do that,
No.
Yeah.
but He did.
Yeah.
So
no, there's and if you're not familiar with John Lennox, I encourage you to look him up. He's a mathematician. Is he at Cambridge or Oxford?
Yeah,
a philosopher, Cambridge or Oxford?
I want to say Oxford.
But he's an excellent philosopher. And
he just wanted to be a grandpa.
But he looks like a kindly,
Santa Claus
type figure
with an Irish accent.
Yeah, he's if you get a chance, John Lennox, check him out. He has a very pleasant way of debating people to the point of like he does it with smiles and just this great. I mean, if you ever listen to him, he's just it's very kindly and warm, and you're like, wow, he is eviscerating this argument that this person has made in the nicest way.
Right.
That even people are like, wow, that was a really good way of putting that.
And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for showing me out on my own. He was a student of C.S. Lewis, in case you're curious about it. And if you don't know who Lewis is, check him out.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
Yeah.
I thought too, as when you were talking about God's plan and God's will and our response, like we tend to, I think that was really good that you brought out that we tend to, I don't know, almost over spiritualize that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like we've all heard it, you know, if not directly directed towards us, you be standing there talking to somebody at a funeral and somebody will say something like, you know, oh, God just needed another angel. You're just you talk about throat punch. Like, what do you like? And I love that you brought out the ministry of presence. Like that's such an underrated ministry, an underused ministry in those moments of like, just be present. Like there's no words to say in those moments.
No.
Right. Why do we try? We try so hard to say this right word, you know, just be present, you know, and
they're crying, you know, they mourn, you mourn.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I had a young man come up and speak to me on Sunday, and he had talked about, he busted out laughing when I made that statement. And at first I'm like, why is this guy laughing? But he came and told me, and he was like, you know, he had lost, he and his wife had lost a child at 7 weeks after they were born. And he's like, he was chuckling because he was like, so many people were offering that kind of like, he said it was just so dumb. And I thought it was dumb then. He goes, and I didn't know the Lord then. And I'm just saying, he goes, and he was just like, and it just made me like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and it's making me angry. And but we had I won't go into the depth of the conversation. We had a really good conversation, and in getting that perspective from someone who's actually walked that, you know. Because people even say dumb things about that, you know. Someone loses a child, and like, well, you know, the dumb things like, well, it wasn't like they were 15, you know. You only had, and I'm like, you know, anyone who's had a kid, the second you see that kid, even before, there's a love, you know, before they're born for that child. And to say something like that is just so heartless. It really is.
It is.
Or thoughtless, maybe is a better term.
Right.
Their
That's
heart
that's a better way to say, because a lot of it is truly well intentioned. It's just,
but they're not thinking,
not thought out, just not thought out.
Yeah,
to bring that point back to not the heartless point, but the point of the seeing when you see your child, you know, or even before, to bring that back to the very beginning when you know, the point of this, not understanding God's plan. Imagine, you know, Jesus is born, and immediately you're looking at him like you were born to die for us. You know, imagine that from the Mary Joseph perspective. I mean, even from God the Father perspective, like, here you are, get ready because here's what's coming. You know, to look at a baby. I mean, we've been looking at babies these last couple of weeks, and it is. I mean, that hits.
Well, you know, holding them, you know, with Seth and Hayden coming over. You know, we went over and visited them. I know you guys went over, I think, the next day, but even just seeing them together in the same room the other day was a surprise on Sunday afternoon, and holding both of them at the same time. You know, it's just kind of, you're looking at them. And to your point, like those shepherds, I mean, people ask, like, the shepherds is part of the story. And it's like, no, this is like the Passover lambs, or the lambs certified for temple use, were born in this region. And these shepherds were there, and it was the season when lambs were being born. And when they would find one that was spotless, they would wrap it in linen cloth, and they would place it in a stone manger to protect it. And so when they go there and they see the child, that's why they're like, they marvel at everything. And they're astounded. They went away glorifying God, praising him for what, you know, no doubt for like, we got to witness this, because they knew in their minds, like, we don't understand this, but this child has been born as a sacrifice.
Right.
I mean,
because they got the context.
They understood. Like we look at it as, oh, they just had to have a place to put the baby to rest. No, this was all very much like, he's going to save his people from their sins. Well, how do you do that? Well, if you know your Old Testament, without the shedding of blood, there is no remission for sin. And he's set up as a perfect, spotless lamb. So there's something going on here.
I like it. It says it several times in there, different occasions that, and Mary pondered this in her heart, so having that thought, and not fully, you got a glimpse of what it means, but not fully understanding, that whole time it's got to be something. And I wonder why you were talking about the strips of linen, the swaddling clothes. Were they left in the manger or in the stable by a shepherd or someone anticipating, or is that something that Mary and Joseph carried around with them?
That's a great thought.
Yeah.
Did they take a linen garment?
They made what they had. They found them there. They did what they used. They had what they used, and it's almost God. Did God ordain all of that?
Oh yeah.
And lay all those things out. I don't imagine carrying around strips of linen with me.
As you say that, though, somewhere in my reading, it's jogging a memory. There's some kind of cloth. I need to look it up, but I've read something about something that a Jewish man would have carried with him was probably used to be torn into those strips. But I need to do more research on that.
Okay,
I need to do more research on that. But somewhere in my reading through the years, I've come across something to do with that linen cloth. But I'm saying something that I don't know what I'm talking about at the moment, so we'll have to tune into another broadcast.
Please disregard.
You've jogged a memory. There's something I read somewhere about that, which is pretty fascinating. But even the prophecies that are given about Jesus, when he's presented at the temple, he'll be the cause of the rise and fall of many. And you talk about Mary pondering the heart, and a sword
will pierce your
heart. I mean, from the very beginning, from day 8, they presented him to be circumcised, and it's like your heart's going to be pierced.
Yeah,
my eyes, now I can go because my eyes have seen the salvation of the Lord. Take your servant home. You promised me I'd live until I saw, and imagine the faith that I don't need to see it. The end of this, I know that it's happening now.
Yeah. It's got to be something because even when you have a glimpse or an idea in the fulfillment, it takes on. So Mary, probably had an idea of what that meant, or at least an inkling, at the beginning. But the being there at the crucifixion, and they go, oh. This is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Just a different.
Yeah. You wonder, like even the passages in the Old Testament, like how much in Joseph and Mary's mind or those mind, like they'll look on the one whom they pierced.
Oh yeah.
You have to wonder. You just have to wonder, like, because the Holy Spirit is moving and working in their lives too. Without the Spirit of God. Again, without the Spirit of God, none of this makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
It just doesn't. And to me, it's another proof of the legitimacy and the historical nature of all this. That this isn't just mythology, because you don't write myth like this. Nobody would write a story like this. Like you would write it to show, he is the conquering hero, and he, but no, these things actually happened. Not to burst anyone's bubble, he didn't travel to India and learn secret knowledge from India. And
make birds out of mud.
The missing years of Jesus. He wasn't making birds and breathing life into them. And
I will say I'm more than a little interested to maybe someday to get just maybe a highlight reel of those 15 to 17 years ish.
Say their bar mitzvah to 12.
Yeah.
You're almost an adult at 12.
You're considered an adult.
Yeah. So I imagine he spent much of that time in the carpenter shop.
Yeah.
Or actually, a lot of that could be with stone too.
It was stonework.
Cutting stone. Yeah. So
and Jesus was a strong dude.
Yeah. So he had his hands were calloused, and he spent a lot of time with Dad.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Learning a trade.
All that to say, it'd probably be a boring highlight reel.
I don't know. I mean,
just like-
we're talking about Jesus.
I'm just fascinated by the. Well, I mean, there's language like at the wedding at Cana where why are you, to Jesus says to his mother, before my time, why are you? But I'm fascinated to see the family dynamic. Like in the early years, especially, because like the type of behavior, Jesus was without sin.
Yeah.
So imagine being one of his younger brothers.
Yeah.
Like,
He does everything right.
why can't you all be more like Jesus? Right, like your older brother Jesus, he just does everything well. Why can't you be more like Jesus?
We thought WWJD bracelets were a new thing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, you think about it. I mean, the scripture records that his brothers didn't believe that he was the Messiah until they saw him raised from the dead.
Yeah.
James didn't believe. I mean, he goes on to be the leader in the church of Jerusalem, but it's like, and becomes a martyr. But it's like, I mean, think of that. I didn't believe until they saw him raised from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Mary knew the whole time. And when he said, why are you, coming to me before my time? But he did it.
Yeah.
And that was for other people.
Yeah.
So was he just handy to have in the kitchen for Mary? Like, hey, Jesus, we're a little short of, okay, Mom.
There was so much going on there. It wasn't just about that.
I was thinking, just imagine the conversations. Jesus and Joseph are in a workshop where they're talking about something, and like Jesus would say something really spiritually profound, and Joseph would go, "Where did you?" Never mind.
Right. Well, I mean, we get a glimpse, right? He grew in favor with God and man. He grew in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God and man. So we get that, that kind of blanketed statement. Grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. So, you got to believe up until the time he kind of, goes into the temple, not the temple, but goes into the synagogue and reads from the scroll of Isaiah and says, today within your hearing, this is fulfilled. This prophecy is fulfilled.
Yeah.
That's when people were like, "Whoa, wait a minute! What did you just say?
Isn't your dad the carpenter?
You're claiming to be the Messiah?" Yeah, but I would imagine that people probably, for the most part, I would think if you grow in favor with God and man,
I think there's a lesson there.
Likeable
too.
guy.
There's a lesson there too. When you talk about now what, we always think that God moves and does things in other places with other people, and when God speaks to you, now what, and so it's always we always thinking that it's out of touch or it's out of reach or it's in another place or whatever. God does things overseas. He doesn't do them here. God does things whatever. But when you're confronted with that, when God speaks to you or brings you to that point, makes that correction in your life, he's dealing with you,
right?
And now it's you need to walk in, or I need to walk in, just like Mary and Joseph had to be obedient or whatever. It's the same thing. So we need to, it doesn't just happen over there or someone else or to someone else. Yeah. Especially when you surrender your life to God and you want to serve Him, and He's going to lead and guide your steps. And so you have to be willing to go, okay, that's God.
Right.
Let me walk there. Let me do that.
Well, that's what I was trying to bring out. Like, it's those little steps of obedience, right? So we have, because people will ask, I mean, as pastors, that, people are like, well, what's God's will for my life, and you try to say like, and I said it more in the third service because someone afterwards like, oh, you're going to get some emails about that whole soulmate thing and the whole there's not just one person out there for you, but but my point being like, God gives us this free will to make these choices, and there's no it's a good thing to be married. It's a good thing to walk in that relationship, but it's not like He's like, oh, this is the one for you, and if you somehow miss that, then there's no one else for you. It's like, no, walk in obedience to the Lord in this. And sometimes, when we say listen to the voice of the Lord, people might be, well, how does God speak to me? Well, oftentimes it's like we know He speaks through His word, but He may place a burden on your heart for something. maybe you begin to see things maybe in your own life that you need to repent of or surrender, or maybe you see a need around you and you're like, this need is such a burden. I have such a burden for this. It's those burdens that often is what's birthed ministry. It's like, okay, well, God is calling you.
Yeah.
It isn't necessarily the time for you to go to your pastor and say, you know what we really need to do? We really need to do a homeless ministry. We really need to do a homeless ministry. Well, maybe God is putting that, not that you don't have those conversations, but God isn't necessarily putting that burden on you to then hand it off to somebody else.
Right.
He's going to call you and equip you in that moment to fulfill what he wants you to do. And that's where obedience comes in.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know which services were, but I tried to say, just take that next step and see how God provides, see how God grows you and changes you and, provides for you in that area. There's people in this body that God wants to use in their workplace, in their school, in their family, in the community. And all he's waiting for is we talk about the yeses,
the
right?
yeses,
The
yeah.
yeses. Say yes. Say yes and see what he does.
Yep.
Yeah.
If he's in it, it can't be stopped. You'll have what you need.
That's right. That's right.
So I don't know. That to me is very encouraging because it isn't on us.
Right.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be because we mess everything up.
Yeah. Thank the Lord.
Right.
Thank the Lord.
Oh yeah,
I would have screwed this up a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So, anyway, hopefully something made sense to somebody on Sunday. That's kind of how I walk away most weeks. Like,
That was good.
I hope what I said made some sense. You have your notes.
Especially when you do it 3 times.
Oh, yeah. By the third time, you're like either really wound up or really tired. It just depends on what you're doing.
Yes.
And another thing. So I feel like sometimes I come up as a drunk uncle. like it's getting free. And some of you will see them this holiday season, I'm sure. Pray for them. Pray that God frees them of that. But let me tell you all another thing. Birds aren't real. The government made them. No, but you know what I'm saying? Like you get a little kind of like loose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, I'm just going to say this. I'm going to say this.
Greg is like, no.
Yeah.
But he did. He gave some bonus content the third service this week too.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just the way it
It
flows.
happens.
That kind of hit
Say
me in
yes.
the services.
Yeah. Yeah, right. You never know. It is definitely it's a different experience, like for teaching 3 different times the same material, but different groups of people.
Yeah.
And then the Lord leads you in one direction or another, and it's different.
Yeah.
It's different.
You should hear how interested how much different it is the first and third service people.
Yeah.
You should come check out the first or third. It's very different.
It's very different. You want to check that out. Yeah. Actually, to that point, I was looking at the numbers, putting together a little chart, but ever since we did that ask, we have seen a shift of about 60 or 70 people to that early service, which has been good. We were averaging like 217 for the last 6 months of the year, and then once we did that shift, it's now 274 in that first
cool.
service. So
Cool.
that's a positive thing. Yeah. The downside is that it's almost like the second service, and third service has grown too, but the second service just like, oh, there's a little more room here.
Yeah.
So just more people are coming.
More people.
So,
Not a downside, just a logistical issue.
Fact.
So we may be preaching 4 times
Yeah.
for too long.
Yeah. Just imagine how good the fourth one will be.
I know.
How polished. It's not polished. That's one thing I don't have is polish. It's like polishing.
It's more like sandpaper.
Yeah. Scuff it up. Yeah. Any other thoughts before we wrap it up? Like a Christmas present. Today's been interesting. We've had mics fall. My
Yeah.
phone went off. Had
Yeah.
sirens outside. It's raining. So close to snowing.
So close.
Soon.
Maybe Friday.
Maybe Friday.
No, I got to fly out Saturday. Don't do that.
But you'll fly out.
Oh yeah.
They'll fly. If it's not snowing, they'll get those runways clear, man.
Yeah,
They'll
I
get you
just
out.
need to get to Baltimore.
Oh, you'll get it. You get to Baltimore. You got a 4-wheel drive?
All-wheel drive. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You need me to take you up there, man? I'll drop you all up.
Yeah.
No, I got it. I'm good.
I'll throw you in the Jeep, man. We'll have some fun with that thing.
Oh my.
All right. Well, we thank you for listening, and we hope that you are blessed. Next week, it is Pastor Aaron is up.
Woo.
Yep.
He's so
Here's the
excited.
excitement in his
Jumping into Luke 2.
All right.
That's right, Luke too. He's going to be dressed as Linus. From
I have my blanket and everything.
he'll be dressed. Just make sure you drop it when you quote Luke 2.
Yes.
You ever notice that?
Yes,
He walks
he
on
does.
stage, he drops
He
it.
drops
it's the
it.
only time you see him without his blanket.
Oh.
And then he picks it up when he leaves.
That's right.
So he didn't need it in that moment.
Serious.
That's right.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool.
Very cool.
You don't know the story of that. Read that whole story of how Charles Schultz had to push to even get them to put the scripture in there. Because I think it was CBS at the time was like, you can't have a cartoon where a character is quoting Luke chapter 2 in the King James and people are going to stay tuned in. He's like, no, it needs to be this way. And man, it held
Yeah,
up.
no kidding.
People
So
loved
good.
it.
So good.
Yep.
Yeah, so
I have a Christmas ornament of him saying it.
yeah. Oh, I love
Hallmark.
it.
Hallmark.
It's my favorite. It is my favorite of the kids Christmas
Oh, yeah.
programs.
Oh,
It's my
yeah.
absolute favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was really upset when Apple bought the rights because you couldn't get it anywhere. You know, I was like, someone gave me a copy of it last year, so I got it on DVD.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you asked. You
You
Anonymously.
said something about that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. I have there's a VHS floating around somewhere, but I don't have a VHS player anymore. You guys have one?
No.
No,
Yeah.
a functioning one.
I'm not sure I have a DVD player anywhere.
Oh, you don't?
I've got a bunch of them if you need one.
Greg is the storage king.
Yeah. Phew. I found another one the other day.
Are they DVD or Blu-ray or both?
I think I have some of everything.
It's crazy. Like, I know we were supposed to wrap this up, but just here's some bonus content. You know, you think back to when we were kids and like the Betamax first came out or VHS first came out. How expensive? I mean, some of those were over $1,000.
Oh, yeah.
in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you wanted, we didn't have one for years. If we wanted to watch a movie once in a while, you could rent for $6 for a night.
Yeah, you could rent the machine.
Yeah.
And you'd rent the video for like $1. And that was like a cheap family movie night, right?
Right.
Do you remember that?
No, I'm just thinking about it just context wise.
Yeah.
Talking about context being important. So until those things came out, which was when we were kids,
Yeah.
if you wanted to see a movie, you went to a movie theater or you read the TV guide and like, oh, it's coming on this day.
Right.
Like we would watch like, you watch like The Wizard of Oz or It's a Wonderful Life or those things. They came on once.
One time a year.
Once a year.
Yeah.
That's the only time you
you
could
missed
see it.
it.
If you missed it, you missed it. Like all of the Christmas specials, were coming up this time of year. If you missed Rudolph, see you next year.
Next year.
That's it.
That's right.
There were no options.
That's true.
So
Yeah. That's true. But think about the cost of those things at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then nowadays, if they even sell Blu-rays anymore, think of how the technology advanced. I mean, a few years ago, you could buy a $35, $40 a Blu-ray player at Walmart.
yeah.
Or the cost of television. I mean, televisions, they were like
way
pieces
way
of furniture,
come down,
like big
yeah.
wooden cabinets, and
Yeah.
I mean, they weighed, 500 pounds or whatever, they were. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The little tiny wheels that would gouge your floor when you move it.
I just destroyed an entertainment cabinet this week to get it out of my garage.
Yeah, because that was
Took a hammer to it.
Right.
Yeah. And it's almost impossible to move around.
Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you move to today where TVs they're relatively, they're inexpensive in comparison.
Well, really, there's probably more TV shows, videos, movies, and stuff watched on a 4-inch screen in your pocket than
That's true.
any TV combined.
Yeah.
Nowadays. So
It's
insane.
I don't want to watch a movie on my phone. I mean,
No, I was
you
thinking about
do it
that
on
on
a
the
flight.
plane.
You do it on a flight.
Even on a
That's
flight,
about it.
it's
But
like-
I don't like it.
No.
If I don't have my glasses, I'm like, I can't really
Right.
see what's happening here.
Just a bunch of blurry things moving around on the screen.
Look at that.
needs to be at least
Yeah.
4 times bigger.
Yeah. But then you think back to even the televisions when we were growing up. If you had a 20-inch TV,
Oh man.
that was massive.
That was huge.
Yeah.
And Sony came out with like a 35, I think, at one point. That was a tube TV.
big tube TV,
And that was like, what is this? But the early ones, I mean,
And when you're little kids, you sit like 6 inches from it, and it's warm.
yeah, right. The Radiation King. We don't need heat in our house. We just sit by the TV. This can't be good for me. Or even having to wait for the TV to warm up. Remember how you turned it on and the sound would come on? You'd hear the show. And then you're waiting for the image, and all of a sudden it'd be like this like ghostly like image in the background, and it would start heating up. And then you'd get that,
Yeah.
And every now and then, when you're watching something online and your internet starts to get a little wonky, you get the real pixelation. And I'm looking at the screen and I think, man, that was pretty much how blurry that is. Like, I had a football game on the other day. I'm like, that's literally how every football game was.
Right.
It was like, because you're trying to turn the dials to like tune it, or if you had the antenna or rabbit ears, you're trying to, how can I get this a little more clear? But you couldn't really make out who was who or any of that.
Well, that's funny. I don't know about you guys, but when I watch TV shows in 4K, it looks really strange.
Yeah.
Like it looks fake.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like an actual TV show.
Right.
Because it's so real. Like it's so.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. It's just weird. I can't hardly watch it.
Yeah, the first time you watched a news broadcast with your favorite anchor that had been an anchor for like 25 years, when they did those high def broadcasts, you're like, whoa, I'm seeing way too many things on your face. What is happening there? There was a real learning curve to
Well,
cover
I got
that
our
up.
first flat screen. I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
Yeah, same thing.
It's like 4K and it's 80 inches, and you're like, "Ugh, we didn't need to see all this.
Yeah, exactly.
I need a bigger room.
Yeah.
So I can back up.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah. I had a black and white TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was cool. Rabbit ears. Yeah. Good time. Yeah.
I remember buying, when we first got married, we bought for $25. It was one of them wooden cabinet TVs at a yard sale. It was color though. I mean, that's what it's what you had.
Yeah.
You had to buy that little. If you ended up having a place, we ended up in an apartment that had cable. We had rabbit ears up into that, but you had to buy that 75 ohm splitter. You remember the splitter?
Yeah.
It had the two prongs, and you would unscrew the back right, and you hook the antenna up, and then you'd run the coaxial cable on the other side, and then it was like, oh wow, look at this image. Yeah. Anyway,
Things have changed.
they've changed a lot. We've seen a lot of change in our lives.
It's kind of sad for some of that, though, because when you could only see that movie once, it made it special.
Yeah. It was called a
for
special.
sure.
Yeah.
Remember that little special logo
Yeah.
that would come up and spin?
Oh, they had the after school special.
Oh yeah. The after school special.
But everything, it's so available now. It's
That's
cheap and
missing.
everything.
Yeah.
I agree. That sense of expectation is a
Like
thing.
going to
and
the
there's-
movies was an event when
Yeah.
we were kids.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't afford it most of the time, but that was a big deal. But now it's just it's all at your fingertips, so none of it means anything anymore.
Yeah.
It's true. It's funny. It just made me think of, because I said something about earlier about the recipes that you use once a year, and I remember one of our kids wanted something that we make at Christmas, wanted it for their birthday for a treat, and I was like, oh, I guess you can make this any time of year, like, huh? And then we just started having like Christmas treats all year round, kind of thing. But it makes it less special because it's
This is
just
gonna sound crazy,
becomes common.
But going to Cracker Barrel, that was only on like road trips because there was never a Cracker Barrel around.
Yeah, they're always
they're
only
always
on the interstate. Yeah.
Yeah, so you only did that on a road trip, which is like, oh, this is cool. This is special. And they built one in Waldorf. I live in a place. Now it's like, it's Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyway, interesting.
Well, there's your bonus
That's some
content.
great bonus content.
If you are still here, wow. That's interesting. This is a lot about you. Anyway, God bless you. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to LCC Remix. If you have any questions about this podcast, reach out via email at lccremix@lifechurchcalvert.com. LCC Remix is a podcast ministry of Life Church Calvert located in Huntingtown, Maryland. You can visit our website, lifechurchcalvert.com, or download our app by searching Life Church Calvert in your app store today.